Finland appears to be closer to joining NATO despite Russia's threat of military consequences if it does. We talked about this probably a couple weeks ago at this point. This was a thing that had been kind of in the works, or at least discussed prior to even the Ukraine stuff. But the Ukraine stuff seems to have expedited the process to a certain extent, at least based on public opinion or whatever it is they're currently tracking in Finland. Now, Finland, for those that don't know, shares a border with Russia, much like Ukraine does, and has been relatively neutral. However, recent developments have brought up this conversation about whether or not Finland should seek the protection of NATO. And according to Insider here, they appear closer than ever to joining NATO after the Russian invasion of Ukraine. A survey showed a majority of citizens, I guess. I mean, it is a survey, Will, but it shows a majority of citizens want membership. And the prime minister said that he'll be making a decision soon. Russia previously warned of serious military and political consequences if Finland tries to join. I mean, they said something similar to Ukraine. This is one of those situations where, maybe you don't go into Ukraine and Finland's like, I'm neutral. It's fine. It's fine. I'm neutral. It's all good. You go into Ukraine, they turn the news on, tank after tank, and they're like, Jesus. Yeah. They're like, think about this NATO thing. Take a look at this NATO thing. I mean, it's regular citizens if it's a survey. And they're just saying, good Lord. And so then Russia might end up with NATO on its border, even if it didn't want to. Right. Even though the original agenda was to try to stop that from happening. It's like, oh, here's another border, and can you attack both? Imagine they got ongoing military action in Finland and Ukraine. Oh, man, that's rough. It's rough either way, but it's rough, even more rough. The country's politicians and NATO itself have both pointed to the possibility of Finland joining soon, and a recent survey showed a majority of the country in support of membership in light of Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Sanna Marin, Finland's prime minister, said on Saturday the decision on whether or not to join should happen this spring. And NATO Security General Jens Stoltenberg said on March 31st that while the decision to join the bloc was one for Finland to make, he expected that NATO would allow the country to join quickly. So, yeah, this is one of those circumstances, well, where you might get more than you bargained for. I don't know.
Yeah, and it seems like NATO is opening their doors, like welcoming it.
Big doors, big NATO doors right now.
Yeah.
They're like, you want it over here? Like, they're like, hey, can we put some missiles over there? Finland's like, no problem. They're like, come on in. Come have some.
Because
we got some dessert for you.
Some dessert? Yeah.
I had a dessert the other day. It was some kind of like, you know where I was at? I was at Moxie's. You ever gone to that place?
I haven't, but it's one of those like Montana's, Kelsey's.
Why is it M's though? M's, Montana's, Moxie's, Milestones. This is local restaurants. Yeah. They're all, those ones are all different, by the way. This one is kind of fancy. It's like.
Is it like Applebee's?
It's a little fancier.
Oh, okay.
It's a little fancier. Anyway. So it's like, I don't know, like variety food. Sometimes they're attached to malls and. Anyway, you're going to have to find a dessert I had. But what happened was she brought the dessert and then she poured like a bunch of melted caramel over top of it right in front of me while staring at me.
Oh.
Yeah, that was it right there. The second one. But actually, it's probably better. It's if you click on the one to the right of that. No, but down. And to the right of that. No, right in the middle there. The one you keep skipping. There you go. That's the one I want you to click on. Okay. So you see that jug, the steel jug to the left there?
Yeah.
That was the thing that had all the melted toffee caramel in it. And when she came over, it wasn't on top of the dessert, which has like an ice cream on top. And I guess it all melts because the other stuff is hot. But it was in there. And then she puts the plate down. And then instead of me pouring it, she picks it up and pours it. Well,
just dumps it.
She's just dumping it right on there. And I was like, wow, this is quite the performance here, and she's staring right at me. and I was like, wow, what if I wanted to distribute that differently?
Right. Yeah.
What if I
That's not fair.
only wanted half of that, or what if I wanted to dip into it, or how do you know my techniques here? But I guess the chef and the waiter, and I guess they have their program and policy, and they like the performance aspect. You know what it kind of reminded me of when they come and do the happy birthday. Have you ever seen that?
Oh, yeah. I've had it done to me before, like a couple of times.
And how did you feel when that was going on?
Ridiculous and embarrassed.
You
It's
weren't.
like, oh, I don't want this.
You weren't loving it.
You know?
And the whole staff is there. Happy birthday
Yeah.
to you. And all your friends, they love the fact that you're embarrassed, I guess.
Yeah, holding out the phones and stuff.
Right. And you're still.
It's not a good time.
You want to know? You have PTSD. You're really.
Well, I'm an introvert.
Yeah. You're like, get the cameras off me.
Spoiler.
They're like, there's no cameras. We
Yeah.
promise. You're like, get it off me.
I go wild.
You smack somebody?
Yeah.
Yeah. You're like, get my name. Yeah. Okay. Whatever. So anyway, that's what it was. I had a dessert. I haven't had a dessert in a really long time, but like, this is the world we're living in now. You go get a dessert. All right.
Oh, man. What were we talking about? NATO?
Well, easy.